Katie?
Yeah, so here we go. So yes, I'm Katie Pickard, and I'm the Director of Training and Pre-Sales. And I don't have a beer up here. At On Center originally, but now my team also services Construct Connect Takeoff, which has been very exciting. And I've mentioned this to several folks I've been talking with. It's been exciting times in the last couple of years because of all the connections that we now have. You know, PlanSwift was kind of a hardcore competitor, and now I talk to them multiple times a week, and we exchange ideas, and we're building new great things together, and it's pretty cool. Imagine being able to pick up the phone and say, how are you doing this, you know, and pull out the best of the best. And so what's fun about this program is that you're starting to see elements where we do interviews with our clients, so we get what we call VOC, voice of the customer, and the PlanSwift customers are like, that looks like our program, and the On-Center customers are like, that looks like our program, and that's intentional, because we're trying to build in things that both sides and beyond can recognize and benefit from. So, just carrying on from the project that Mark introduced, this is our Eric's landscaping project.
Thank you.
Just for you that we did this.
I noticed that everything is.
I know. That's right. It's a Kansas City project, and so I just wanted to show you like what a story might look like when you get this. So you have hit send to takeoff or prepare to take off, and now you've got it in Construct Connect Takeoff. Let me back up one scotch here. This is the projects and bids list. So when you open up Construct Connect Takeoff, this is what you're presented with. So this is your active bids list that you have moved into the full takeoff space, okay? This is what everybody in your org would see. So it is a cloud-based solution, it's collaborative, and Mark showed you that you can set up permissions. You can actually hide certain bids from other people if you don't want them to see it at all. But the great part about this is that if you do need that tight collaboration, everybody can literally be on the same page. Because when that new project updates addendums, you get change orders coming in, everybody sees that project and those documents at the same time. You never have to worry about, oh my gosh, I had to leave early that one day and I forgot to send those documents out and so doesn't have them. That's not a thing here because everybody gets access to the same list at the same time with the same documents. That make sense? All right, so going back into where we were, we already have this project pulled up. So if I had gone through the scenario that Mark kind of championed for us, and I would have built out a takeoff item for basic tree count just to feel out, is this a project that I want to do? Because Eric told us that's what he does. He goes in and he figures out, does this have at least this many trees? We did that count in web takeoff in the browser, and we figured out we got 60 of those. Yes, I'm going to bid this job. So I sent it to CC Takeoff, and now I'm going to do something with this. So the first thing I want to do is find the schedule. I'm a couple of steps ahead because we're saving y'all time. But let me close that back out and show you how I got to that. Okay, so I'm looking at my screen here, and if I had gone through my documents, I can preserve sort of safe space around details, around schedules, around general notes that I want to call out attention to, and then they get to hang out over here, a little flyover window, and I can just launch that, and it opens up in a second window. Now before I get into detail there, let me just undock that for a second and show you this. I work on about 4 monitors in my office. Anybody work on more than one? Most people do, yeah, these days. You can create, or you can open up about 10 of those windows, all of which have equal capability. You take off and all of them, you just spread out as much as you can bear across all of your monitors, which is super, super nice. So this is my little, this is my tree schedule, and I'm just going to pick 3 of these guys out that I want to do some takeoff on. We'll close that. And if I'm doing this for a while, what I would have recommended that you guys do is that you create a library of template items. So I've gone from my generic count to, okay, I've seen my schedule, I know what I want to pull in. I want some autumn splendor, I want a tailored juniper, and I want a swamp oak. So I'm just going to cherry pick what I want that I've already created. Those are already created with a color that goes with them, with a size of the item, you know, the marker that we're going to have, and pricing. It's all there. It's all captured there because I created that and I get to use it and you get to use it and whoever else is on our org gets to use it because we all share the same library. And so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop in here and I'm going to go, let's see, these right here are the swamp white oak, and so I want to reassign these little green takeoff circles, which are from our basic tree count, to the actual named tree that they're for. To clean this up a little bit and make this easier to see, I'm going to just hide the grass and the sod. See how quickly I did that? Every item in here has its own little switch. You can make it visual or not visual. And then I can come in here and I can just highlight the ones that I want to change. And what were those again? The swamp white oak. And I'll right click on this guy and reassign those takeoffs to the swamp white oak. So I did the takeoff already, but now I'm just switching it over to the correct name to make it easy. So I don't have to redo it. I can grab it all in mass and take care of it that way. Once you start getting a lot of this takeoff done, as I said, you've got some of this already created in your library. Add a couple more in here, I think, too, just real quick, because I've got some of these tailored junipers up here. So I'm just going to take off a few of these guys. Those are huge. I would resize that if I had more time. But so I do a little bit of that takeoff. Now, where am I looking at my results? Well, I've got results here on the left-hand side. That's just for this one drawing. But if I want to see results for the whole project, getting into what do I do when I'm ready to estimate, to your question, this is the worksheet tab, and this is already populating with values. Those are my unit prices for material. I can add in for labor, equipment subs other. I can change it up at this point, or I can just have that be my generic ballpark figure that is in my library that I can call on for my preliminary estimates. And I can kind of figure out where we at with this job right now. Is this, something I'm going forward with? At this point, maybe you're going on and you've got changes in the project. So I mentioned before that one of the best things about this is that it automatically updates addendums. Automatically. Again, I come from the on-center side of things. I know how our tools work when you have revised drawings that come your way. And compared to how this does, on-screen takeoff feels very manual to me now because there's just a lot of steps you have to go to add a revised drawing and to match it up with the original and to make sure you save it in the right place. This is done for you, and you get a notification. All those things that Mark covered before, it'll notify you and let you know, hey, there's a new drawing in here. You can see the new drawing right here. So I got my original set and I got my revision. That's how it shows up. It's right at the bottom of this screen. So watch this. You can move back and forth between each of those drawings. Let me zoom out so you can see. Now I clicked on the revision 1. This was the original. You see how my takeoff stayed right in place? Because it's on its own plane. And I'm just switching between the two. But
back to the revision again?
So when you are working in this system and those things pop up automatically, all you're doing is adjusting your takeoff. You're not redoing it. You don't even have to copy paste it. You're just adjusting it. It makes it so easy. But of course, that's not everything. That's just having those lined up. And there's anybody in here use on-screen takeoff? Yep. So you know how with on-screen, when you load in revised drawings, how many can you have? Just one. Every class I ever taught, when I taught overlay, which is a tool that we use, and we call it overlay in here as well, whenever we got to that point, it never, ever was a missed opportunity for somebody to say, what do I do when the second revision comes in? Or the third? What do I do with the first revision? Where's that go? And everybody had lots of different solutions to do with that, but there was no real authentic, official solution for that in on-screen. You can have, God forbid, 17 different revisions down here, or more, if you're unlucky. But there's no limit as to how many that you can have.
That's nice.
And when you turn on overlay, it's right down here in the bottom left, it kind of, you can't, maybe you can see it or maybe you can't, there's a little checkbox down here. So what'll happen is if you have multiple drawings down here, multiple revisions, you can check off which one you want to show to which other one. You still compare just 2 at a time, because 3 or more would be a little crazy. Give you a headache, too many details in one drawing, but you can compare any 2 drawings in the evolution of that project. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
But aren't all changes clouded anyways?
No. Yeah, right. So what you're seeing here are both of those drawings, one overlaid on top of the other. If you've seen that in on-screen takeoff, it's the same concept. We say red is dead and blue is new. And the thing I love about this example is that, we think a lot of the time about revisions being in the drawing, but it counts notes too. It's anything that changed, which is fantastic, and it makes it just really stick out for you.
So if you're using OST, well, to my knowledge, and I have a set of 100 drawings and 30 new sheets get issued,
Yeah.
I gotta bring those in, convert them to a TIFF, I gotta pick the right overlay for the right sheet.
Right.
So what's the
Feel your
process
pain.
like with this?
Let me show you what the organizer looks like. The process for you is nothing, because the program does it automatically with the curated process behind the scenes. This is what the plan organizer looks like. Think about the cover sheet in on-screen takeoff, where you can see the drawings and you map, you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. This is that. Okay, this is that space. So where's my pointer here? There we go. Okay, so what'll happen is as these revisions come in, the program will just load in new additions. You loaded in your first set of plans just by saying send this to takeoff. So that's your original right here. And then revision 1 came in and it loads in and it matches the sheet name to the sheet name. There's coding behind the scenes, right? So it knows which one it's supposed to go to. When revision 2 shows up, same thing, revision 3, and you have all of these available in your bid. And you can check off at the top globally, do I even want to see that one anymore? Maybe you want to shut it off because it's noise at this point. Or you can just always have it available and it's right there. This is a great manifesto because it has the issue date also. You can see when it came out, and then your current set is made up of a mix of everything. Yeah.
So what happens if it's not native to this platform? If the drawings aren't in the platform yet?
If the drawings aren't in the platform yet, you can load them manually, and there is a way to match these up manually.
So just by loading all the drawings, it won't rename them or acknowledge what they are?
No, not at this time. So what we advise people to do, because our network is so huge, is go look and see if that project's in there already.
I'm saying, let's just say it's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, if it's not, then you have to load it in manually.
So it doesn't do all these things you're talking about
Right,
if it's not native to your.
right,
At this time?
at this time.
Well,
right.
that's what I was thinking earlier is, general contractors do mainly negotiated work versus hard bid. You're losing a lot of steps here.
True, but I would tell you that my team teaches people how to do this manually every day. It's not impossible,
Right.
and it's still better than on-screen takeoff.
Sure.
There's the
I
other,
hate to say it, but it is.
and then also, if you are using CCBM and you upload those files into there, it will then process them and rename them and put them in. And if you upload the addenda into that and you tied it into CCTO, then yes, it will start doing the same thing in here, as long as you use the process.
Okay.
So if it's standalone only, then it's still manual.
The other thing I'd like to show you along those same lines, I don't know if you have that.
Before you
here.
can.
Yeah, go ahead.
And maybe you talked about this and I missed it, but I know what I've done in the past before we had all this technology, and 3 or 4 addendums came out, and they were all loaded with the different plans that was in addendum 1, then they changed them again, and 2, and 3, and so on. I'd end up taking them all apart and making a complete set that had the latest revisions in it.
Yeah.
Will this do that?
Yeah, it will. So when you're when you're in the takeoff space, as soon as something new is loaded in, that becomes your primary and that becomes the one you're looking at automatically.
Okay.
So, and that's good too when you're working in a crowd, if you are working with a team of estimators. because they open the bid and it's there. They don't have to flip a switch, they don't have
That's
to.
all the
it's
drawings
right
with
there.
the revision.
Yes,
Okay,
yep,
thank you.
yeah, you're welcome, yeah.
Are the curated drawings checked somehow? Say I use plans someone else loaded up and there's a mistake, they left something out. Is it-
Mark could answer more about that, but our curation process has been going for a long, long time. And we have people who've been there for years, and I'm told they're excellent. And I mean, all I can compare it to is on screen, where I have renamed pages for ages. That rhymes. And it's not fun. We're asking, how do we ensure the accuracy of the renaming of pages from our,
Well, not so
from
much
our team?
like from the beginning. Say my competitor uploads a job and he downloads the documents he was given and leaves one out, and like a spec section or something.
Okay.
What-
Okay. If you, I mean, you would get that document somehow, you could always load it in manually.
Yes.
Even if it comes from, even if you pulled a bid from CCPI, you can still add to it yourself manually.
Yeah.
I'd just be leery to use documents someone else loaded up.
Yeah.
Besides me.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well, I understand that completely, but right now, that's exactly what you're doing. If you're getting an invitation bid from SmartBid, right, you're downloading the documents that are in there. Unless
I
you're
don't-
going straight to the
Yeah, I'm a
source.
GC. I get
Okay.
them. I get them from the owner
Gotcha.
or architect
Gotcha.
or wherever at the beginning.
So you're saying on a project like that from the GC perspective,
Yeah.
how do I know all the
Yeah.
drawings are there? It's a great question.
Yeah, because I mean, my competitor,
Yeah.
because I'm very picky about drawings.
I
I don't let anybody download them with me, you know, because I'm always worried something will get left out.
The nice thing too is that, if I remember right, that if it goes into CCTO or even CCPI, you can export the drawing list to the manifest.
Yeah.
And I've done that myself. When I do takeoffs for people, I have to make sure that I have all the drawings. I'll compare the takeoffs, or the drawings that I have to the actual plan, the index. And I'll make sure, are all these on here? Yes or no? And I can export that into Excel and do the same, manipulate. So I think I can do that here too, yeah.
Yeah, right here, you can export
count the
this
documents
manifest to
if they're the
Excel.
same.
Yeah. I mean, I understand the concern completely.
One of my colleagues, one of the gals on my team, Stephanie Klein, came from Turner. She worked there for 5 years, and when she saw this page, she about wept. Because they had had so many times when she was estimating where they had to go back and try to verify, when did we get that document? Do we have that in the list? You know, where is that being tracked? And they didn't have something like this that like captured it 100%. She's like, I would have given my right arm for something like this, you know, back at Turner. So there you go, drawing manifest. Along with that, one of the things that I see from on-screen users is when you get a new set of drawings, sometimes people just duplicate the job and they name it something else and they throw it in a folder about a project. Anybody here do that? You don't have to do that here either. I was looking to see if you had a sample job that has the multiple bids underneath, do you?
Not in this order,
That's
sorry.
okay. So where it says base bid right here in blue, under Indian Creek Elementary School, I can create a new bid under Indian Creek Elementary School and call it revision 1, revision 2, and so on and so forth. Or schematic design, 50%, 75 issue for construction, and so on. And the cool thing about that is that it is already all encapsulated under that project, and all of those bids have access to the same pool of drawings. And you can complete a bid at whatever stage you were involved in, and then you have it. You have that milestone tracked in its own bid name. You can go back and refer to it, and the next bid, like if I was to create a revision 1, I would just right-click on that, duplicate it, and call it a new name, and all the takeoff comes with it. So if I want to preserve what my takeoff was at that earlier stage, I can, and I can move on, and I don't lose that data.
Why would that be important? Why would I not want to just change that base bid to whatever it was?
Because a lot of people want to know
Sometimes you
what
end up with,
the delta is.
excuse
No,
me,
go ahead.
sometimes I have owners that I give them options as I go through changing the bids. And then I get down here and they say, oh, hell, let's go back to let's go back to option 2.
That's the answer.
You know? And then if I've destroyed my list, I gotta go back and recreate 2.
Exactly.
So you always, quote, quote, Excel, save as, new name,
Right.
revision 1, revision 2, revision.
So is that how you do
You
all
never
this?
destroy an old estimate.
Or
Period.
Exactly.
be separate with inside the.
So is that how you do alternates as well?
Yes,
Yes.
yes. We're still developing so many things in here because Everybody's got ideas in the development meeting from all these different takeoff groups. And we are still looking at even more enhanced ways to play around with alternates and change orders. But yes, that's how you would do it. The other thing I would say is, you remember how I could open up more than one takeoff window at a time, so I can spread out a little bit and see everything? You can open up more than one bid at a time. So to your example, if you want to see option 1 and option 2, you can pull them both up and evaluate together, which is kind of helpful too.
Just real quick, so
Yeah.
I know it's past 6. They said that we can stay here as long as y'all want to, so we'll keep going with whatever you guys want. It's totally up to you guys, so. Just want to keep going and.
Y'all good to keep going? I
Yeah.
only have a little bit left. Little bit left. Okay, so I'm gonna show you one other piece in here, and then I'm gonna talk about the export to estimating, like we talked about, what some of your options are. So let's turn on the sod and the grass again. So one of the things that we captured in here, I'll talk about 2 of the things I guess I'll just mention. PlanSwift has this incredible, I love Mark's example to compare PlanSwift to on-screen. That on-screen takeoff is kind of like the Apple. You have a lot of stuff that's already made for you. And PlanSwift is kind of like the Android. Build it the way you want it. And so they have a lot of incredible customized formulas that you can build in. We have customized formulas in this, which is pretty cool and amazing. It's still not quite to the caliber of PlanSwift, frankly, but it's getting there. And it's really neat to see that incorporated here as well. I won't go into that in detail, but I'm presenting tomorrow, so if you want to see that, I'll show it to you.
But, so that means, in a nutshell, I just want to throw this little carrot out there. So if, for on-screen users, you could have three takeoff quantities per takeoff, or 3 different types of items.
Good
This one,
distinction.
how, I can have,
It's
off of
unlimited.
one lineal footage, I can have
Unlimited numbers of results.
studs on center, rebar on center, whatever.
Right. Now, one of the things that we pulled from the on-screen side, and let me shut off overlay, hush there a little bit, is multi-condition takeoff. Those of you who use it on-screen, have you ever used multi-condition takeoff before? No? What it means is simply this. If you're going over the same perimeter, the same area, the same direction, with multiple items you need to quantify, you can grab them both and knock them both out at the same time. That's all it means. So like, for example, if I wanted to, let's add in some irrigation stuff in here, a pipe and a spray head. Okay, so now I got irrigation. I'm gonna grab both of those, and I'm just grabbing both of those by holding my control key down, just Windows shortcut stuff. And I might move in here, and I don't have an irrigation plan, so I'm making this up. But I would click everywhere I wanna put a spray head. You see that dotted line following me? That's my pipe. Just double click. And what that does is it takes off my pipe and my spray heads. My spray heads are obnoxiously big because I wanted to make sure you could see them. But there are so many tools like that that you can use in here to enhance your experience. We just built in a lot of stuff that comes from both places. Yeah, go ahead.
When you were done, it showed you the length. Will it show you the length as you go?
So you can
No,
go like
it
10
doesn't.
foot, 10 foot, 10 foot, 10 foot. I think
So
it does. if
that
you're
is
going-
such an interesting question because we've been having conversations with the PlanSwift team. Anybody here use PlanSwift? Okay, so when you guys take off linears, you take them off in sections. So if I took off 3 segments, I can see what the total of the 3 segments are because it's a section. Did I say that right? I'm learning. But in on-center products, every segment you take off has its own or its own measurement, and it doesn't combine them. But it is a request that has been put out there to be able to have it both ways, but it's not there yet. Does that make sense? Answer your question?
Can't, I shouldn't, I can't help it. So I can say though, without you showing everything, I think I can say, show me the measurement on each of those segments.
Oh, sure.
There's
And
an
you click
option
on
as
it.
I'm doing it, it'll actually put a little tag on each one and show how long each one of those
Yeah.
is.
And over
Will it
here.
show you, or do you have to hold the mouse on it?
No, it'll stay, it'll be in between each one of those heads, it would show.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That's a setting.
Yeah, it's a setting that I can turn on for,
Display
That's a zoom
dimensions.
yeah.
And now this,
Oh,
yeah, I
that's
mean, they're
what I
kind of
wanted.
close together, but you know. Oh. You got
That's-
that on areas, you can get the perimeters, all kinds of stuff.
That's nice.
Yeah, I like that too. And there's another tool I absolutely love that allows you to set the length.
Can you
not
delete
outside
one?
of scale, but, beg your pardon?
Can you delete one?
Oh, sure. Yes.
Yeah, they're still segmented, right?
Yeah, they're still segmented. But yeah, it's, you can set, if you just know, hey, I need a 100-foot length of this, then you can just set it at 100 foot and in scale, there it is. So you're not going, I'm at 99.8 or 101 and I can't get it quite where I want it to be. I use that a lot. I'm actually taking some of the ASPE estimating courses and I'm trying to go by the book and not by the digital measurement, like exactly what the dimensions say, so I use that all the time. So I can get an A, right? Okay, anyway, I digress. Okay, so live link. Okay, so we talked about how you have the worksheet tab. I didn't show you the summary. I'm going to talk about this in some of my sessions tomorrow, or one of my sessions tomorrow. The summary tab is equivalent to the takeoff tab and on-screen if you've ever seen that before, but what we did is we built in a pivot table because the feedback that we got from on-center customers is, hey, how come I can't have width as a column? Or how come I can't put type first and page second? Or like, I want to organize this differently. You can do that here. Organize it however you want, you know? Add in whatever columns you want. Filter it to your heart's content. But the greatest thing that I have seen, and this comes from the PlanSwift crew, is what's called Live Link. This got launched this last fall. And on Construct Connect Takeoff is a downloaded program. As soon as you download Construct Connect Takeoff onto your computer and you have Excel, you will have a Construct Connect link right built inside your Excel program. So what does that mean? That means when you launch it and you click Connect, you are given the opportunity to have a live connection between your favorite spreadsheet that you have built with your blood, sweat, and tears and Construct Connect Takeoff. Live meaning you make the connections to the cells, you leave it for a week and you go do more takeoff and you come back and the takeoff is filled in. So in terms of estimating, however you want, do it however you want. So like I come through here and I would look for Indian Creek Elementary School. I pick the bid that I want, there's only one bid, and I hit connect, and this is what it's giving me. So there's my tree count, there's my, I might have the wrong bid open, but you pick out the takeoff item that you want, pick the count that you want, pick the cell that you want, double click there and it enters in, I got 67 trees.
So if I do that and I want to go look at my favorite spreadsheet at the 67,
Yeah,
is there a formula in there that says, go back to sheet XYZ, cell 47?
it's not like on center, no, it doesn't do that. So all you have to do is point to it and say where it goes. And then you can move it around, you could move that to 4 different places on this same sheet.
And the same quantity, which is.
Same exact quantity. So it's much slicker, I think, than the way that we built an Excel export and on-screen takeoff. Like I said, this came from PlanSwift's development team, and we built it out and launched it just this last fall, and it has been grabbed onto by those who are using CC Takeoff. So
And if I do, after I do this, if I do additional takeoffs, it'll update those?
yes, we'll continue to update.
So it's a live link. between
It's a
two
live
sites.
link.
Exactly.
And so again, for those of you who might be working on with a team of estimators, and they all have access to that same one bid and Construct Connect Takeoff, they're all doing takeoff, maybe you're just managing the estimate, this is gonna keep filling in from what your team is doing.
Can you see what, if I'm working on my final spreadsheet that I've linked back to the takeoff, can I see the items? Like, is there a way to look at the spreadsheet and go, I don't know how to explain it right, but an OST, like if I have a quantity in my takeoff of 100 lineal foot of something, I can click on it and select objects and it shows me what, kind of highlights them and shows it to me.
Yeah.
Is there a way
You
to
could
kind
do
of get a
that in
visual?
Construct Connect Takeoff, and so if let's zoom all the way out. Because I had to do that here because everything was in green earlier. And so if I wanted to see where my basic tree count was, I just do select takeoff objects. See how they all highlighted in yellow? Is that what you're talking about?
Yep.
Yep.
Also, the geek out in me also likes the fact that pane, that whole pane right there, all the takeoffs. Remember, in OST I can have 3 columns, I can have up to 10. I can take that doc and move it all to a whole nother screen with all of those on at the same time.
Thank y'all for coming.
Thanks, you guys.
Yes.
Can you put your screen takeoff on one screen?
Uh-huh.
And I go here and put an estimate of my Excel over here, and just play this and watch this pop.
That's exactly right. It's live. Real time.
before house.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Your experience, your gut, your wisdom,
All right.
everything.
So I get rid of all the kids and I just do this myself. by myself.
Oh, goodness. I'm not getting involved in that. But the long story is, like, I got so excited when we were looking at this presentation. This is the first time, what Mark put together is the first time I have seen it presented end to end this way. And it's so exciting to see it, and we just have talked so much about it over the last few days about what a cool privilege it is to be a part of 9 companies that came together and said, my 30 years experience says this, my 20 years experience says this, my 30 years experience, and all of that together is what's pouring into this whole platform. It's just really exciting to be on those calls and think about and dream about where we're going to take this and pull the best of the best of breed. That's what we feel like. Anybody have any questions for me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Go back to a very simple takeoff concept.
Mhm.
I didn't see anybody calibrate the scale or check the scale to make sure the scale was correct.
Okay.
And then I have a follow-up scale question after
Okay.
you answer that one.
Okay, so I did this before, but let me delete this out. So you got your scale down here on the left. These are all your annotative tools. We have more tools in here than we used to have.
Right.
But there's my little dimension line, so I can check it here. And our little dimension line is much more detailed, and on-screen was. I don't know what it looks like in Plan Swift specifically, I can't remember, but, so that's how you check the scale. If you wanted to calculate it, right up here, you've got the same kind of drop-down list. It's got everything broken down into a variety of different scales. You've got set scale, but there's calculate scale. So what that means is I can measure the same spots. Forgive my inaccuracies showing this. And you see I've got a little box here. So I just draw the line and then I type into the box. That's supposed to be 30 feet, and it changes my scale. Does that answer your question?
It does, but at my company, I do not permit my employees or myself to check a scale off a graphic scale.
Okay.
Because that's not a tree, and it's not a pipe, and it's nothing that's gonna show up and get built. So I was kind of looking, can you do the same thing that you just did up on the plan someplace with the known dimension?
Let's see, what do I
If there
have
are
here
one.
that
If there is one.
Parking spots.
Yeah, our fallback is always 9-foot parking spot.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. All right,
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I can do that.
Yeah.
Now, my second question is, I'm a civil guy, and I take earthwork off by cross sections, and I don't use this product. I use a different product, this competitor's product, but I have the same beef, or this is my beef with them. I can't do anything off of a profile or a cross section because I can only set one scale. I can't set a horizontal and vertical scale. Can I do that on this?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet. That
If you
is
would
in
do
the
that,
conversation.
somebody like me would consider buying it.
Yeah.
Because right now I have to use Bluebeam for that.
Right.
Yeah.
I hear you. It does come up in a lot of conversations. I know Mark and I hear that all the time.
Are you doing cut and fill with Bluebeam?
Sure, yeah.
I don't get to look at the product, so only what's
Yeah.
public, so.
Yeah, I take cross sections off that way, but it goes into an Excel sheet. So Bluebeam isn't spitting out the
Okay.
cubic yards of cut and fill, but it's my takeoff tool,
Yeah.
or one of them anyway.
Yeah, there's a lot of conversations going on in that right now, so.
And I know Planswip has a cut and fill
They have a
plugin.
plug-in, yeah.
So I know that they're looking at that.
Yeah.
To kind of pull from that.
Yep.
And we didn't talk much about QuoteSoft today, but QuoteSoft is another partner. It's not quite wrapped into this yet. They're building a connection, I think, between CCPI and QuoteSoft. QuoteSoft is HVAC and plumbing, and they're crazy cool. They're just
Fire
amazingly
protection,
cool.
anything with piping,
Mhm.
process piping, anything like that, mechanical, electrical,
Yep.
also works well with that.
You can pick the size of the pipe, the material of the pipe, just as an example. Draw out your line, and the program will spit out all the material that you need, elbows and connectors and everything for what you just drew. It's incredible. It is already built in with all of these different items, and their trainers are amazing because they all came from plumbing or HVAC or what have you. They had to start with that kind of expertise in order to teach that program.
That's a program that's going in with you guys on this?
It's another company that is in our family, and long-term, we would love to see it built into the, to kind of cloud-based stuff here. Right now, I think what they're trying to do is just build out the ability for someone who has QuoteSoft to be able to pull in curated projects from CCPI.
Kind of backing up,
Yeah.
away from the takeoff screen a little bit. Eric, I've heard you talk about this before. Us as contractors, whether we're well, probably more as subs, get a ton of emails in about projects that are bidding. And the biggest problem we have is keep track of all that. Okay, what's bidding on what day? Do you have a bid calendar or did I miss something or?
In the takeoff program itself?
No, not the
I was
takeoff.
gonna say,
In the
we have the
CCPI.
dates in here, but in
In CCPI, yes, sir. You have, remember I showed you that one tab that says bid board? You're gonna be able to put those in, and it'll have the bid dates, or you put your own bid date if it's something
So
you
once
added.
we've looked at them, they go on there?
Well, it's a process.
Okay.
However you add that project on there,
Okay.
and you say I'm bidding this, or I'm already done with it, or I'm just reviewing it, whatever that status is,
Uh-huh.
you'll be able to sort those by bid dates, and so on and so on. And I wanna add, I know it's getting late, and I'm trying to keep you guys, so if you're itching to get up, I completely understand, but for the, tomorrow, if you go to our desk over here and sign up for a demo, that would be the ideal thing to get all the real intricate answers that you might have to any questions that you have. And I think for the first 10 people, there's a really cool mug to go over there and do
I
that.
think it's a Yeti mug, isn't it?
Huh?
Isn't it a Yeti mug?
Yeah, it's a Yeti.
Back to that takeoff section there. We get plans every once in a while that come in that aren't to scale. Can you customize that?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
so,
essentially, that's kind of what she's, so
Watch
if you
it,
find,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead, Katie.
so like if I set this
Still
at a
better.
1/8 inch scale,
Well,
that whacked out.
that's what I'm saying. They come in and they don't meet
Yeah.
any of those scales.
Right, so then what I would do is I would find something like the parking lot, or a doorway, or a window, or something that I know what the width is, and I would use this little icon right up here at the top, and I would draw myself a line, and say, you know what, that's supposed to be 9 feet,
Okay.
and it would set the rest of the
Set the
scales.
rest of it. Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
And if you have multiple scales on the same plan, which happens occasionally, remember, every window, I can have 10 different windows in the same project, open up, and open up another plan of this one. You can open up as many as you want to. I can set a different scale on that same plan and do takeoffs on any of the windows. I'd have to do it on that screen.
And it all shows up on your takeoff. Okay.
So if you do a takeoff and you've got all this done and you want to go talk with a client who's in a place without a network,
Without a network?
I mean, you could still print these to PDF. We have a way to add in annotation and legends and all those good things. You can print it out to PDF and bring in the PDF. You can also open it up on your phone through Web Takeoff. And just, because remember how we said this copy's back over to Web Takeoff, even though Web Takeoff is kind of locked down at this point. It's great for reviewing. So if you have a phone or a tablet or something, you can just open it up and kind of go over it with them right there.
There's also conversations. There's a lot of conversations. Very healthy conversations. Again, like Katie's pointed out, from all the different entities that we have, we've been through a lot of these issues, so collectively we're looking at these. What the conversations have been are kind of like when you go offline on Microsoft Office and then you go back online, is looking at similar
Same
type
type.
of, yeah. Right now, it's not there, and I'm not promising that it's
Yeah,
anytime
no.
in the near future, but that's kind of the idea, so that we don't rule out those instances. I'm on the plane, I'm still working on my, I want to be able to just upload it when I'm done, or have it sync up.
I always say this incidentally because the question comes up a lot. I have used this program in, Las Vegas convention halls, airports, lobbies, on the plane, in hotels, all the places where the internet is horrible. With children who are on, gaming and stuff, eating up my household internet, and it works fine. And I haven't seen a slowdown of it. And that has a lot to do with the developers behind the scenes, making sure they kind of grease the wheels. I don't know those technical things either, but I know these people, and I know I've heard them talk about how they're doing everything they can to make sure that runs real smoothly. Yep.
To kind of add to that, I live in a very rural area, and up until about a month ago, my internet for the past decade has been about one up and one down most of the time.
Yeah.
Really difficult to work sometimes. This thing was seamless. So, and it was actually better for me than downloading plans into OST or PlanSwift or anything else. I didn't have to download them. I just need that connection. That's it. So, great questions.
Yeah. We'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah.
Show you more detail.
Thank you guys so
Thanks
much.
for coming out tonight.